This video is brought to you by you guys. Thank you so much to all the channel members. Your support has been amazing. We've got tons of cool perks available, so if you want to check them out, click the join button or the top link in the description. Thanks, and enjoy the video. Hey, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to That's a Wrap. My name is The Raptor. Thank you for joining us for our first episode of the year. And joining me today on the panel, we have arguably two of my mods of all time, both of which you have seen before. First up, we have Zero, probably the most common guest that you've seen on the show at this point. How are you doing, Zero?
Hi, everybody. I'm Zero. I make Transformers content. It's pretty good to be here, Raptor. Death Battle's coming back, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Me too, yeah, I'm really excited. And also joining us, we have Dr.Fiction, PhD, CEO of Friendship or some shit. I don't know, I didn't have friends. How are you doing, Fiction?
Good, you should totally fix that.
Yeah, I will try.
Hi, I'm Dr. Fiction. I have a YouTube channel. I upload very sporadically, so don't expect anything great. I like friendship, ponies, and I'm excited for Death Battle.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad we're all excited because that's really what we're here to talk about. So I'm really happy that we're looking forward to it. But yes, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it tons. And thank you to everyone who is listening. Before we get started, though, there were a couple of housekeeping things I wanted to get out of the way first in case maybe you missed the last update video and you want to know what's going on with this series in particular. So the plan is to not do monthly podcasts anymore that are about specific Death Battle episodes. That's basically what we did for all of 2025, but for now I kind of want to spread them out a little bit more, space them out, and cover a wider variety of topics like this, because you'll see that this is not a Death Battle episode review, so I kind of want to do more stuff like this where we cover more topics and just spread them out a bit more. Instead of that, though, we will be doing monthly live streams. That's the plan for this year, some of which will be channel members only ballot banters, so if that interests you, you know where you can look more into that. And as far as general posting, I will be back to posting regularly once Ichigo versus Yusuke comes out, as far as, like, you know, the upload schedule. And for the consistent poll posts that I do on my community tab, those will start in February, probably like right when February starts, so if you like those, be on the lookout for those. But yeah, that's basically it. For this video, we're talking about generally predictions for what we want to see or what we think is going to happen more so in 2026. I didn't really think there was enough information that Death Battle gave us, you know, to make like a scripted video for this kind of thing, especially, you know, since I did my ideas video for 2026 a little earlier. But I thought, you know, why not do something a little more casual? Why not do a podcast with friends or whoever you guys are? And yeah, of course, thanks to Ichigo versus Yusuke, Aang versus Traveler, Gru versus Megamind, and Geats versus Nero, which are all of the official episodes that we know are coming next year. We only have like 8 slots, most likely, that are going to be filled otherwise, so not that much. We're probably going to say way more than 8 matchups in this, but, you know, it's still fun to just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. So I'm excited. You guys ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right, great. So the first place to start, I think, is the Ash versus Yugi teases. And of course, I say teases very lightly because they didn't give us a ton of information with that, especially not compared to like what they showed us at the end of season 6 and season 7 and season 8. So, you know, it might be a little tough to get anything concrete for any of this, but I guess Zero will start with you. Other than Ichigo, obviously, which we know was correct and was pretty, you know, explicit, do you have any predictions based on what we saw at the end of Ash versus Yugi?
The only tease I know for sure I could say with like certainty was Ichigo, because you could see Dual Zangetsu in like one of the frames for that.
Yeah.
There's like a text bit in the stars. It's really just that. It's really just looking up at the stars, and I didn't really know what to think of it. My best guess, like in a conversation, was that it was possibly, this is probably copium, possibly a Fortnite thing. Now, this might sound crazy, but like one of the biggest story trailers for Fortnite has like a cut that sets in the stars, and then it just comes down onto the island itself after the big black hole event. And then it just like starts off in the stars, and then it cuts to being a reflection in a puddle that somebody steps in. It's probably not that, but that's all I could think of in regards to it. I thought it might have been like a Josie teaser.
See, that thing, it's really tough. Like, it kind of takes me back to the Cypher Wheel thing for season 10, where it's like, there's stuff where it could technically represent so many different things, right? Like, there was a star symbol in there, and it's like, we had no idea that that was gonna be Martian Manhunter versus Silver Surfer. You know, it's hard to connect that to something really concrete, unless you can, like, really recognize the footage that you're looking at, because, you know, Ichigo, the tease for Ichigo was actual footage of something, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if the other things have like some kind of footage or some kind of like official logo or something like that that's like embedded in there. But if you can't tell exactly what that is, then it's really hard to make concrete predictions with that. I still think Fortnite is gonna come to Death Battle at some point, but we'll see if it's now and if that's what that refers to.
Is this how a FNAF theorist feels?
It probably is.
I have to zoom in on this hyper-specific frame of the video to even get a chance at understanding what the hell's going on here.
This pixel means Freddy Fazbear's coming. Yeah, exactly. Like that's that's what it is.
This pixel is actually from a PNG of some white powder. And what does white powder represent? Cocaine. We're getting Cocaine Bear versus Meth Gator in 2026.
Yes, I love it.
Alternatively, we could be getting Snow Flame, the DC comic superpower.
This is exactly what I'm saying, that like it's way too easy to go down rabbit holes with this stuff. Like, if you actually count all of the predictions that people have made off of these, again, quote-unquote teases, then you have so many different ideas, but not many of them are actually like grounded in anything concrete. And like, it's fun to make predictions and all of that, even if you don't have that much information, but that's just kind of the reality of it, that like, unless you happen to stumble across something that like really overlaps with it, you're probably not really gonna know.
Nah, man, we're going off of vibes. There's $40,000 on the line. We have to go off of vibes.
Right. No, because you always have to make bets on your Death Battle predictions. You have to. It's non-negotiable.
The only one I can concretely remember is the Star one, and that's because this is, again, I'm huffing a crap load of copium right now.
Sure.
But the nebula inside of it vaguely looked like Twilight Sparkle.
Oh my god.
And so I'm just assuming I'm hoping we get an MLP run back.
Yeah, so how funny is that? The Fortnite fan thinks it might be Fortnite, and the MLP fan thinks it might be MLP. This is amazing.
Of course, it could just as easily be Armored Core, which is primarily a mech game, like, that has outer space themes. It could be Star Wars, getting Kylo Ren versus Alucard, who knows?
Yeah, I technically have a little more to say, but again, like, I don't know if I want to say it's copium, because these aren't necessarily things that, like, I want above all else. But I feel like I kind of just have to pull on, like, any string that I can find, because, you know, that's better than saying nothing, I guess. There was one person I saw that was saying that one of the screens had, like, stuff from the Flames of Truth trailer, like Final Fantasy XIV, and I've checked that out, and, like, I can maybe see it. That's one where I actually think there might be like a stronger argument for, but again, I don't know for sure. That might not actually be what they're referring to. But if that is the case, that they're teasing something from Final Fantasy XIV, specifically with that, my guess would be Bahamut, and if so, and if it is Bahamut, probably Bahamut versus Rayquaza, which apparently is the right way to pronounce it, so don't come at me for that.
That shit's Rayquaza. I don't care. I don't care what the official company says. It's pronounced Rayquaza.
Yeah.
Rayquaza is disgusting.
I know. I kind of agree, but, you know, it is what it is.
I don't care.
That would be pretty interesting, though, because we did literally just have both Final Fantasy and Pokemon on the show. So, you know, again, there's a part of me that's like, I'm not super confident in anything I say about this, to be clear, but I just want to throw out something, right? I was also saying in the last podcast episode that, like, the very first image may or may not kind of be referencing the Fantastic Four. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the Fantastic Four does somehow get into next season, because they are more relevant than they've ever been right now, and especially like falling in between First Steps and Doomsday, I would not be surprised if they try to do some kind of Fantastic Four matchup. But again, like, it's a really like weird, like, blue image that might be like a distorted 4. It might not even be correct. Even if we do get a Fantastic Four matchup, it doesn't even mean that that tease was necessarily for Fantastic Four. If it is going to be one of those, I think the two biggest ones right now that Death Battle has kind of been thinking about are Mr. Fantastic versus Mr. Terrific and The Thing versus Cyborg. Granted, both Mr. Fantastic and Cyborg were in the final 32 of the Champions Island characters, and Ben Singer did say that there weren't really any plans right now to use any characters from Champions Island, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if any of the characters that were like sub-final 16 were like red herrings. They've done stuff like that before, where they put Kratos versus Asura on the Tournament of Champions, even though they knew they were going to do it anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there was some red herrings in there, but you never know. And even outside of the Fantastic Four team, I could see maybe something for Doctor Doom, if not this year, maybe next year, because again, you know, it could fall in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. And Stranger Things did just finish, which had some version of Vecna, but again, I don't really know how confident I am in saying that.
Don't equate that. Stranger Things Vecna is not D&D Vecna.
No, of course I know that. Yeah.
Stranger Things Vecna is a bum.
I am aware that they are two different Vecnas, but again, you know, thinking about commemorations and relevance and all that, it is still linked in that way. Doctor Doom versus Vecna was also a pitched matchup, and I believe in one of the fireside chats, they did say that they are currently working or currently producing one of the pitched matchups. But of course, that can still mean so many things, and I'll talk more about that a little later as well. But that's kind of the only other thing I have to say about Doom versus Vecna. And again, who fucking knows? That it always comes back to that.
Doom versus
right.
Vecna. Great.
Yeah, no, I would like to see that. At that point, like, I know some people were shouting Doom versus Gilgamesh like a few years ago, but at this point, if they really had to bring Doom back again, I think Vecna's like, it's unique enough for me to see it as worth it. People just tend to predict what they want to see when they don't have enough information for what they actually think. I understand why they're doing the teases like this, because we've known a lot of stuff has been coming for a while at this point. I understand why they wanted to keep it more vague, but I'm not gonna lie, I think when they do teases, I kind of just prefer it when they tease characters more so outright, and then we kind of just go off of that. I just like kind of having something more concrete to look forward to. But that's just me. Okay, and with that, I think we can move on to other kinds of predictions. So you can use literally whatever reasoning you want, whatever you think for why you think something could particularly happen in 2026. Again, probably only 8 episode slots to fill, but let's go crazy. Fiction, we'll start with you for this one. What are you thinking? What are you predicting for 2026?
So keeping on the theme of D&D in DB...
D&D?
D&D's nuts.
Keeping on the theme of Dungeons and Dragons in Death Battle, a very, very popular matchup that's been making the rounds recently has been the Dark Urge versus Darth Revan. Ben Singer, or somebody else, I don't remember who, has said that we might be getting a surprise related to D&D this year or maybe next year, and so me and a lot of the guys in the official server are thinking that we might be getting Dirge versus Revan this year.
That's interesting. And you think specifically that over like Doom versus Vecna, for instance?
Yes, because it's genuinely a lot more popular, I'd say. Doom has already been on twice now. Darth Revan is super popular because of the Knights of the Old Republic games. Baldur's Gate 3 is arguably just as popular, and it's from a more recent one. Not to mention, just they both share a lot of the same stories, and they're both RPG games. A lot of people like video games, and it looks at Star Wars through the lens of a video game, which is probably going to be a first. Brings a lot to the table, and that it'd be a very popular episode.
That does sound really interesting, and yeah, I definitely missed that, you know, D&D surprise or whatever that Ben was saying. I definitely missed that, so that's really interesting. That's cool that you guys are coming up with ideas already. And Zero, how about you? I think we'll kind of like take turns, you know, kind of go back and forth. So Zero, do you have any major ideas, predictions?
One prediction I have for this year, because it's getting to a point where it's still really popular, but it's kind of starting to just be a it's now or never thing. Old Man Logan versus The Last Ronin.
Really? Okay.
Ooh.
Because I think it's just long overdue at this point, especially with recent news that the Last Ronin movie just got canned.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, that's horrible. And TMNT is just getting a lot more content this year, so I think it would be a good idea to take advantage of it. It's just been popular in this community for so long now. I'd be shocked if it didn't happen this year.
Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. This was a matchup that I saved for the final section, where it's just ideas that you'd like to see in this season but don't have like any good reasoning for. The reason why I put it there is because I think it's always possible they might just do something else with Mikey. Like, they've said that they really enjoy Mikey versus Jay Walker, you know, or they could just do all of TMNT versus all of Ninjago. Like, I understand, like, I honestly prefer Old Man Logan versus Last Ronin. It's one of my most wanted episodes now. I just don't know how confidently I can say that, yes, that's the one they're gonna go with, even though I would really love it if they did.
I kind of see where you're coming from here. The main thing is, with Last Ronin and Mikey, you kind of focus on like a whole different story within the TMNT universe.
Yeah.
And if you just do Mikey versus Jay, you're kind of just focusing on, you know, the norm, the standard. With Last Ronin and Mikey, you get like a lot more of a particular set, story, and universe.
Yeah, no,
and that's kind of the same thing with Logan, or Old Man Logan. And plus, that kind of got a movie adaptation in the form of one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. It kind of got one.
I would say that's as close as... I know there was like a more literal Old Man Logan variant, like that showed up really quickly in Deadpool and Wolverine. But as far as like an adaptation, yeah, I would say Logan is close enough to that idea, for sure.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just a little hopeful, but it's really just now or never, in my opinion.
I'm definitely really hopeful for it, and I'm not saying that they couldn't do both a Last Ronin matchup and a Mikey matchup, but I think they would definitely be very spread apart from each other, and it's just a matter if they're going to do one of them right now, which one is it going to be? And we don't know for sure, but Mikey versus Jay does have a lot of backers as well, and it really just depends on what they want to do. But frankly, I just think Old Man Logan versus Last Ronin has such like the right emotional weight for this kind of series. Like, it could be so fucking good.
Right.
I think we might be getting another Batman matchup. It's a little bit of copium. I hate to use that word. It's been a couple of years since he's been on.
So when you say Batman matchup, you mean like Bruce Wayne, not like a Batman character?
No, a Batman character.
Oh, a Batman character. Okay.
Yeah, no, Bruce Wayne has been on like 4 times.
No, I was gonna kind of say like, really, like the copium is for Bruce to come back. Are you sure? But that makes a lot more sense. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. If I had to guess one, probably Scarecrow versus Mysterio. Scarecrow's probably my favorite Batman villain, like ever. I love him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Well, he's a bad guy, but he's a good villain.
Yeah, no. He's a good guy. He's a very nice person.
He helps you work through your fears, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, Batman just comes
yeah,
up
he's
and puts him in a body cast every month.
You know, if you think about it, Batman is really just fighting mentally ill people for the thrill of it. He's the real bad guy here. Yes, I think a Batman matchup could potentially happen. I would love for it to be Mysterio versus Scarecrow specifically. I think that depends, though, on what they want to do for the Halloween episode. And theoretically, they don't have to do Mysterio versus Scarecrow as a Halloween episode, although I kind of feel like that's what a lot of people are expecting. As for Halloween, I wouldn't be surprised if we get Freddy Krueger versus Pennywise at this point, because, you know, it's the biggest, like, true horror matchup that they have yet to do. We had Welcome to Derry just having come out, basically. Like, I feel like around now would be the sweet spot for them to do it. And I just think it's about time that they return to classic horror. I think it's been long enough since Jason versus Michael. Like, that came out in, what, 2022? So when they get to 2026, that's 4 years. Like, I think it's more than enough time to just go back to that if they want. And as far as Batman matchups, actually, we do have the Clayface movie coming out later this year. Maybe Sandman versus Clayface. Like, that's not my favorite Batman versus Spider-Man matchup out there necessarily, but just thinking logically, like, that is a very easy commemoration they could do.
Yeah, that
is
true.
That'd
be good.
Also, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out. Like, it would still also be commemorating Spider-Man in a way as well. So, like, yeah, a Batman versus Spider-Man episode, it doesn't have to happen, but again, trying to anticipate what they could do, maybe.
We're gonna be getting Alfred versus Ant-Man.
Alfred versus... Isn't it usually Alfred versus Jarvis? Or I guess maybe I'm out of the loop on that. Because, oh, well, I guess actually, not a lot of people know that Jarvis is like a human being in the comics, so I guess that's why.
We're gonna get Uncle Ben versus Maria Robotnik.
Oh my fucking god, no, you did not just say that.
Winner dies first.
Winner... Oh, that's good. That's really good.
One that I've seen tossed around for quite a bit now, depending on how well this movie does, but considering this just got teased, I have a feeling we might see Skeletor versus Lord Zed. Don't really have much of a big reason for it. I just think it's an easy way to explore prior 80s and 90s shows that have been on the show before.
Yeah, with the Masters of the Universe movie coming out now with Jared Leto as Skeletor, my God. Yeah,
God damn it.
I know. We'll see. Yeah, that's definitely another easy commemoration. But again, depends on what they want to do for Halloween and if they want to do that for Halloween at some point. But of course, that's kind of like a legacy matchup for Death Battle itself. So it's kind of always on the table for them to do. I think maybe Monokuma versus Koro Sensei has a chance. Like, I feel like it's like the biggest tournament of champions player that the crew has gotten more into, they've learned more about, especially after the Death Battle cast that came out. Like, I kind of feel like they are way more into this matchup than they used to be. And I don't know, maybe it's just a hunch, but I kind of feel like that's one that they might have reserved for around this time. Going back to the whole pitch thing, my personal guess is that it's not going to be something like Omori versus Room or Toru versus 096 or anything. That's my guess, though, because I kind of feel like they would want to start with something that, like, you know, has been around for a longer period of time. And I also think that they want to do more cartoons than what we've seen, because in the last season, we've really just had, or last season, in the last year, we really just had Ruby Rose, if you count internet shows, and Wile E. Coyote and Tomcat. That's basically been it as far as cartoons have gone for like a little while now. And I know we're getting like Aang and Gru and Megamind, but I still kind of feel like maybe we'll get something else. So, is it weird for me to say maybe Luz versus Ann could happen in this season?
Luz versus On will never happen.
Okay.
I can see it. I could also see Mordecai versus Mordecai and Rigby versus Finn and Jake.
That was the other one I was going to bring up, because those two matchups were pitched, and they are like the two biggest cartoon matchups that Death Battle hasn't done yet. And I don't know, I kind of feel like one of them could happen. Look, okay, here's the problem. I don't really care that they've been waiting for Finn and Jake versus Mordecai and Rigby. I don't really care about that, even though I want that one significantly more than Luz versus Ann. But as far as Luz versus Ann goes, they literally said that they did not want to do what they did with Steven Universe versus Star Butterfly and wait to the point where the characters just become like less and less relevant. And I am gonna say that if they do not do this episode in 2026, that they failed at that. Because if you're going to say you want to do it when they're somewhat relevant, how are you going to say you're going to wait until 2027 or later to do it? That just doesn't add up to me. So, I don't know. I'm probably ranting a little more than I should, but if they're going to say something like that and then like not release it until like 2027, I just think they failed at that idea then. That's just me, though.
Yeah, but the agenda is making me say, no, it won't happen.
Well, now we have anti-agendas, right? It used to be that the agenda made it so that everyone has to say Luz versus Ann, and now it's like, oh, so now it's not at all.
It's been a running gag that it won't happen.
Yeah, no, I know.
Your own server.
I'm aware. No, I am aware. It's just, oh my god.
It's not due to anything coming out, though. With the recent success of all the Sonic movies and how popular it is, I could very well see it still happening. Mm-hmm. I think Sonic is going to make a return, like Sonic the Hedgehog.
I know who Sonic is,
If I had to guess who he's going to be going against, I think they might do Sonic versus Rainbow Dash. That's not me coping for an MLP match.
Are you sure?
A little bit. A little bit. But considering Sonic's best other person right now, or most popular I should say, is Goku, and how recently he's been on compared to Rainbow Dash, I feel like if they had to choose one, they'd go Rainbow Dash just to look at her from a modern lens. Yeah, I feel like Sonic is going to come back in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully through the Hedgehog himself.
I will say, like, I would definitely like to see, like, canon Sonic, so to speak. Everything is canon, right? I would definitely like to see, you know, canon Sonic, so to speak, come back and being analyzed in, like, the current Death Battle lens, because, especially with Bowser versus Eggman, like, they really upped their game as far as, like, Sonic scaling, so, like, actually seeing that for Sonic himself, I think, would be really interesting. So we'll see if that happens this year.
The main thing about Sonic coming back this year, I personally agree. I think Sonic is, or at least something from the franchise is coming this year.
Okay.
The main reason I think that is because this year marks the 35th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog as a whole series. I'm going to be honest, Fiction, I don't think it's going to be Sonic vs. Rainbow Dash. My biggest bets are one of two remasters. It's either going to be Mario vs. Sonic 3 or a Shadow vs. Mewtwo remaster, but I don't think they're going to do a remaster immediately after the last season, so I have a feeling it'll be a new matchup. And the only new matchup I can really think of is, honestly, Chaos versus Kyogre. Sonic Adventure is like really prevalent in terms of like the franchise's history.
Yeah.
And especially with the last Death Battle episode having such a positive reception with Pokemon, I definitely think that there's a market for this matchup this year.
I would love to see that. That'd be really sick. So we basically said most of what I wanted to say for general predictions. One of my other predictions is Percy Jackson versus Zagreus, because we do have new Percy Jackson content, and, you know, Hades did recently or semi-recently have the second game, and even though that's not necessarily my preferred for Percy Jackson, it's very clear that that is the matchup that the team wants to do at this point. I kind of feel like if Percy's getting on the show, at least if he's getting on the show soon, it kind of feels like it's going to be against Zagreus, especially, you know, with his new TV show. I feel like, you know, Percy's just in the public eye a lot more now. And I know that Harry Potter is also getting his own show at some point. So, like, they're kind of both getting their own shows. You could make the argument that, oh, so it's going to be Percy versus Harry, but I think the crew is going to make the executive decision to just do Percy versus Zagreus, even if Percy versus Harry is the more popular one. That's just me, though. And this is kind of interesting, because you remember from the Ichigo versus Yusuke trailer when they have, like, the film reel that, like, kind of starts and ends the trailer? There are some people actually saying that that kind of sounds like a distorted version of Bugs Bunny biting a carrot. And I have no idea if that's actually true. I tried comparing, and it's like, I could maybe see it, but I kind of want that to be true just to get Mickey versus Bugs. That's all I'll say about that. I won't elaborate any further.
That sounds like how Rayman being frozen in the ice on Battlefield in Smash Bros. Sounds.
No, I agree. I totally agree. But I just wanted to bring it up in case it did actually happen. It's like, well, I can't not bring it up right now, just in case. And like, I actually have like a very thin strand of reasoning for it. And also, I guess I also wouldn't be surprised if they did Wily versus Tom and are like, okay, we did all of this Looney Tunes research, let's just jump into another one now that we have it all. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that either. Alrighty, and with that, I think we can move on to just general ideas. So this is probably going to overlap with like most wanted death battles a little bit, which is, you know, it's totally fair. But just anything that you would really want to see in 2026 specifically, but you don't really have any reasoning for it, we can just talk about that now just for fun.
I'm probably not going to say 2026 because that's just too much of a guarantee. A matchup that I made that has garnered a lot of traction recently, like over the past few months. Tommy Oliver from Power Rangers versus Prince Vegeta from Dragon Ball has taken off a lot more than I thought it ever would.
Okay.
The main reason I want Tommy Oliver back on Death Battle, he hasn't been covered exactly. Like every time we've seen Tommy, he's always just been a device used to get a Zord as the focus.
Right.
He's never been the focus of a matchup himself. Like, look at Dragon Zord versus Mechagodzilla.
You kind of want, like, a Leo versus Jason situation more so. Is that right?
Kind of.
Okay.
I still want Zords in the matchup. I just don't want them to be the focus.
I see. Okay.
Dragon Ball Super is coming back. Like, we just got that revelation last night.
Yes.
Like, the anime itself is coming back, along with a bunch of other new projects coming throughout the year or next year. And Vegeta, I mean, come on. It's like the most iconic rival figure in anime, as well as one of the faces of the redemption arc trope. With how thematic the matchup is, it gets to some really good specifics. If there's one matchup that I made that I'm desperate to see on the show, it's probably that, just because of how much you can do with it and all these other outside factors.
This isn't just me hugely getting into TF2 again this year, but I really hope we're getting a TF2 matchup.
Anyone in particular?
Sarge versus Soldier right off the bat.
Okay.
Though my my most wanted TF2 matchup is probably Pyro versus Bolas from Akame ga Kill.
Oh,
I
yeah.
Pyro.
I've heard a lot of different Pyro matchups. I think the one that's caught on the most is actually Black Noir from the boys, but I've heard that one too. I've definitely heard that one a little bit as well.
I prefer for Pyro to fight another fire user, like Flamethrower guy specifically.
Okay.
If they did do Sarge versus Soldier, they could get Jeff Williams on to help with the track. That could be fun. And not to mention, I think that'd just be a very, very fun one, considering Boomstick's connection to Sarge. Just how good you could work the fight interactions and fight dynamics with Sarge's shotgun being one of the only things he has against Soldier rocket jumping all over the place, and just their general attitudes clashing with each other. That'd be very nice.
One matchup that I want to happen this year, but I don't really know the likelihood of: Max Steel versus Generator Rex.
Ooh, yes.
Is a really good one.
Well, it's actually Rex Salazar, not Generator Rex.
I'm going off the show name. I have my own personal preferences for Max that aren't Rex. I really like the idea of Max Steel versus Randy Cunningham, but I think for an episode, I think Rex just makes logically the most sense to do.
I would agree.
Especially with how much more popular of a matchup it is. I adore Max Steel as a franchise, and being able to see any of it on Death Battle would be really cool to me. I think it's like a similar vein to like my stances on Old Man Logan versus Last Ronin Mikey, where it's kind of just starting to become this now or never thing.
I mean, they can do episodes whenever they want, but like, especially with them saying like, oh yeah, we've missed the timing on Alex versus Cole, and like we'll only do it if it wins the champion ballot. It definitely does seem like there are times where it's like they might just decide not to do something if they don't think the relevance is there.
It was 2 years since he got on last time. It's been 2 years since. Give us Omni-Man versus Pink Diamond to round out the trilogy.
I mean, it's just every 2 years we get an Omni-Man matchup. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Where is Omni-Man?
Us in 2028 wondering where Omni-Man is.
People would love that. They hate it for Batman, but they would love it for Omni-Man, because Batman was like every 3 years for a while.
I feel like they're going to do Omni-Man versus Pink Diamond at some point, just because of how popular it's gotten. It's his third popular matchup. Rule of 3, complete the trilogy. It fits either if he wins or if he dies.
Oh, no. If Omni-Man wins,
no.
The Death Battle fans are going to kill him themselves.
He wins. It's just dead.
All the Dragon Ball
Ben Singer will not be safe.
Yeah.
All the Dragon Ball fans cheering on Pink Diamond, giving her their energy so they can kill him.
This is one of the reasons I'm like legitimately worried for Boros versus Battle Beast. I feel like the demand for that matchup has actually gone down since Omni-Man versus Bardock, because some people aren't happy with the way they did Invincible.
Here comes the sun disc.
I mean, are we gonna see that adapted in Invincible Season 4, please?
Yes, it actually got teased.
Yeah!
It actually was in the frame. Hang on, let me send it to you. Hang on.
I don't know if we're gonna get an Invincible matchup necessarily, because you could argue like, oh, well, it's an Invincible commemoration every year, because, you know, it's basically now just coming out every year. Like, Invincible, the series is coming out every year, and of course, they're not gonna be doing an Invincible matchup literally every year. And that's the thing about commemorations, too, right? Like, we want to make predictions, and making predictions means something that is predictable. But Death Battle often doesn't go with what's predictable anymore, right? So it's like, they're not always going to do something that's about a commemoration. They're not only going to do commemorations, but if you base it off of something else, then like, what are you basing it off of? You're either basing it off of vibes, or you're basing it off of just what you want, and not even necessarily what you think. That's why making predictions for Death Battle is so difficult, because it's like, a lot of the time it's just impossible to know what's gonna happen. And sure, that's a good thing in some cases, but, you know, it's still really difficult to make, like, actual solid predictions with good reasoning a lot of the time.
I predict that we're gonna get a Death Battle episode with Wiz and Boomstick in it.
I thought you were just gonna say, I'm gonna predict we're gonna get a Death Battle episode.
Honestly, when it comes to Star Wars matchups, I think Kylo Ren versus Edelgard is more likely.
As far as sequel characters go, I would agree, or like Disney created characters, I would agree that's definitely on the more likely side.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they're gonna go with, just so that way they can explore a different side of Star Wars.
Unless they want to do Mandalorian. But of course now we have the new Mandalorian movie coming out, and like they may want to wait, you know, to be able to analyze that before they do anything with Din Djarin, but,
right,
you know, who knows.
But what I want is something from Star Wars Rebels. I want Kanan Jarrus on Death Battle.
Oh.
He was the mentor to Ezra Bridger throughout that show.
Yep.
He's got a couple of options that I would really like. The more popular option that I think is far more likely is Kanan versus Kenshi from Mortal Kombat. Just a classic sword fight with telekinesis involved and whatnot.
And blindness.
And I think...
I was like, we gotta bring that up, like, come on.
I really like the idea of Kanan versus Prowl from Transformers Animated.
Okay.
I loved Prowl.
He's more of a cyber ninja character, so I think he can bounce off well off of the lightsabers, because I'm pretty sure his shurikens, he uses them in a melee sense, so he can parry lightsaber attacks. He's a smaller Autobot, so it's not that big of a size difference.
But is he blind?
He's not blind.
Oh, well, then get it out of here. What are you doing?
Dead. He's fucking dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kanan's gonna be fighting Prowl's corpse. Yeah.
Kanan's already dead, too.
Kanan died?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kanan died.
Yeah.
In the
did
final
die.
season, he did die, yeah.
And
So if they're
the fact
already
that-
dead, why do we need them to fight to the death?
That's a great question. Winner gets to go to heaven.
The battle takes place in purgatory, and it's like, there's only one spot left for each of you. Figure it out.
What do you guys think about Zeus versus Odin coming in for 2026?
I would love
That'd
it.
be nice.
I would
I
really
would
like
love
that. Yeah.
We definitely have gone a long time since Hercules versus Sun Wukong, and I think the idea of exploring more mythology matchups, it's just really fun. Just doing like Zeus versus Odin would be enough to satisfy me. I'd also really like Anubis versus Hades, I'm gonna be honest.
I've heard
Yeah, that'd
Amaterasu
be
versus
cool.
Ra as well. That seems kind of interesting.
Oh, that's fun!
Oh, yeah, that would be sick.
Again, I have my top 50 most wanted death battles video. I have my ideas for 2026 video. You can get a lot more of this kind of stuff in those videos if you're morbidly curious. However, some of the ones that I can bring up right now, as far as my most wanted pitched matchups, even though I don't think they're going to pick these ones right now over everything else, my most wanted for sure are Sackboy versus Maxwell and the Eds versus the Warners from Animaniacs. Those ones are definitely my my favorite pitched matchups. I would really like it if we got one of those this year. Also, Knight versus Ori. I still think out of all of the indie game matchups, like the really prominent ones, like I still think, you know, Sans versus Judge might be more likely, maybe even Bendy versus Cuphead, but, you know, for it happening in 2026, like right after Silk Song, that would be really hype for me. I would really like it if the timing kind of worked out that way. Also, I feel like I always have to bring up Hiccup and Toothless versus Hero and Baymax. It is my most wanted death battle after Mickey Mouse versus Bugs Bunny, but I don't really have any good reasoning for it. As far as live action matchups, because I feel like I haven't really talked about those, of course, my big one is Captain Kirk versus Han Solo. I just need Star Trek on the show. Please bring Star Trek onto the show. It's been way too long. I don't know how you haven't done it yet. And other than Old Man Logan versus Last Ronin, because again, we kind of already talked about that, my only other one is Eren Yeager versus Ken Koniki, and I before I might have put this as like an actual prediction, because I still kind of feel like they might want to do like an Eren matchup like soon after, or relatively soon after, the ending of the Attack on Titan anime. But specifically the one I want to see is Ken, like Eren versus Ken. And I don't know if Death Battle is going to do it at this point, because it seems like some of the people want Eren to fight more of like either like a kaiju character or like a mech character, like, or like someone piloting a mech. And like, I get it. I understand if that's maybe the direction they want to go. That's just not really the direction I want to go. But if we could somehow get Eren versus Ken in this season, I would be over the moon.
That's the legacy matchup.
It is. It definitely is. But again, I kind of see it as similar maybe to Percy Jackson versus Harry Potter versus Percy Jackson versus Zagreus, where like, I feel like they might just make an executive decision to not do that. Like, they've done that before where they go against the most popular idea just because it's what they wanted to do. They always have the option of doing that. So, you know. All right, perfect. So a little all over the place, a little bit of everything, but I think we got some good matchups thrown out there. So thank you guys so much for that. And once again, thank you to everyone who is listening. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy this, please be sure to give it a like, comment your comments, subscribe if you want to see more stuff. Of course, there is also the join button if you want to become a channel member. We got lots of cool perks for that. And yeah, if you have any other predictions, anything that we did mention, anything that we didn't mention, let us know in the comments as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And that is a wrap. Have a good night, everybody.
See ya, chumps.
Bye. My dog wants in. Come inside, dog. Come on. Go to your bed. Yeah, good dog. Okay, you can cut all that out. Unless you want to keep it in. I don't care.
Might put it at the end.